Welcome to Glow Social Club, the space where powerhouse women come to reclaim their health, their clarity, and their leadership. I'm Jazmine Corona, functional nutritional practitioner and founder of Organically Glow and Glow Social Club. Around here, we don't do one-size-fits-all advice. We translate symptoms into strategy and build the kind of structure that actually sustains you. If you are ready to lead your health, your work, and your life with clarity, confidence, and conviction, you are in the right place. Let's begin. You've been doing everything right. Eating clean, working out, counting macros, and still not seeing the results that you hoped for. This episode is for you. Weight loss resistance is often a symptom, not a problem. So today we'll be chatting all about weight loss resistance and how to actually achieve your healthy weight goal. We're also going to dive into why weight loss is more complex for women, especially as we age, some root cause factors that can be blocking you from losing weight. We'll also dive into some real success stories from my clients who have dropped 10 plus pounds after dealing with weight loss resistance. And then we'll also bring in some sustainable, personalized strategies that you can implement today and start seeing results. So before we jump in, let's talk about all the diet advice, weight loss advice that is just absolutely wrong and so toxic. So the first one that I hear so often when it comes to women trying to lose weight, they have been told you need to eat less and move more. And they're sitting there like, I barely eat 1,200 calories. I am doing cardio every single day and I am still not dropping weight. What do you mean I need to eat less and move more? Do you just want to starve myself? Like, what do you want me to do? That is the most toxic advice I have probably heard. And it is so common, especially, I have actually heard this from doctors. Okay, so we really need to dive deeper into that, especially because as women, it is so much deeper than that, right? We have so many things happening with our hormones, with our gut health, with blood sugar regulation, that is not just as simple as you need to eat less and move more. So we are leaving that behind today. Number 2 is calorie counting. We are so hyper focused on counting calories. I feel like we have kind of slowed down on that, which is good. I don't hear that quite often, but I do still hear women especially saying, well, I'm counting calories. I am really focused on looking at the back of the package, making sure it has this specific macros, and I'm still not seeing changes. So I don't know what's going on here. So with calorie counting specifically, you can have low calorie intake, but you can still be eating toxic food. This is why I always like to shift away from counting calories and reading ingredients. Okay, counting calories is often going to be on packaged food, processed food, ultra processed foods, right? When we're eating whole foods, you can pick up an apple and there is no sticker on the back of an apple, right? It's just an apple. But when we are eating processed food, ultra processed food, packaged food, right? What do you see on the back of it? There is a nutrition facts label and there's calories on there and it's telling you this is how many calories is in here and this is a serving that you need, right? But when you shift over to eating whole foods, you don't even have to count calories anymore, because we are focused on ingredients. So of course there is a time and place when we do need to be mindful about how much we're eating. So this is where I like to bring in a food and mood journal for about 3 to 5 days. For some of my clients, I used to do this for every single one of my clients, but then I found that there's only specific clients who really want to learn what they are intaking, right? Because sometimes we're just going, and we don't stop to pause and realize, wow, I haven't ate all day. I'm going to be honest, that's me sometimes. And then there's other people who are like, I get stressed out and I'm just eating all day long and I don't really know if I got like a full meal in. I just know I snack throughout the whole day. So this food and mood journal, what it does is it helps you be mindful about what you're consuming. And then it also kind of gives you a blueprint of like, okay, this is how many calories I'm currently eating. Wow, I am eating way less than 2,000 calories, right? Because as women, I find that we're not eating enough. As much as we think we're eating so much food, we're definitely not eating enough to actually fuel our bodies, fuel our hormones. So what happens? We're living off of stress hormones. Another mental and emotional factor that I see too is we get super frustrated and then we get stuck in these cycles of yo-yo dieting. So what is yo-yo dieting? So it's when you jump from diet to diet. So you start with the carnivore diet and you're like, okay, this hasn't helped me. I'm switching over to the vegan diet. Vegan diet's not helping, so I'm switching over to a low carb diet, right? You're constantly jumping from one diet to the next, and this really confuses your body. We also are really hyper focused on restriction in our society. I feel like this is something that has been popping up a lot with my clients that I have currently been working with. A lot of them come to me and they're like, I have been on this restricted diet for months now, maybe even years, and I'm scared to reintroduce certain foods. And I'm sitting there like, these are short-term diets, right? So restrictive diets, there is a time and place for them, but most often what I see is, people get these food sensitivity tests. They are sensitive to 100 different foods, and they're sitting there, they're like, okay, I need to remove every single food, and then they never reintroduce them. So that's when it becomes a problem. We can't just remove all the foods that we're sensitive to. What we really need to do is dive deeper and understand, okay, well, what is actually driving this food sensitivity? Maybe we are just dealing with leaky gut inflammation, right? That can really cause your immune system to be already hypervigilant. And so you're eating these certain foods, and guess what? Your body's like, hey, this is an enemy. So these restrictive diets too are something that have definitely been huge in the health and wellness space. And again, there is a time and place for it, but there's also a proper way to do an elimination diet successfully. And then we have also become very obsessed with these scales. I have seen so many different scales nowadays, and a lot of them are super cool actually. Some of them are like digital scales, and it tells you exactly like what you're eating, your macros, your minerals, all this fun stuff, right? But sometimes when we can't even eat without putting our food on the scale first, that's when it can become a problem, right? We have to be very mindful about what we're doing, why we're doing it. We have fear that comes up around these certain diets that we're doing. We may have to take a step back and really dig deeper into, okay, why are we experiencing this? When it comes to weight loss resistance, your body isn't broken. Your body's actually protecting you. When it comes to holding on to weight, your body is protecting you. There's a reason your body is struggling with dropping the weight, because it's protecting you. This is another mindset shift that I tend to have to help my clients make too when we're going down this weight loss journey. This is huge. This is a huge piece, because a lot of the weight loss resistance, being on a journey of losing weight, it can cause some mindset issues, right? There's mindset blocks there, where then we get stuck in like this cycle of like, no, I can't have that because it's going to make me gain weight, or no, I can't do that because it's going to make me gain weight, or I'm on this diet and I can't do, like it starts becoming a pattern. And we have to interrupt that pattern in order to help our bodies feel safe. So this is a big nervous system piece too, right? If your body does not feel safe, guess what? It's never going to let go of the weight. So we have to also really focus on that too. So let's jump into some of the root causes behind weight loss resistance in women. And we're going to break this into very clear categories, because there can be a lot going on in our bodies, especially as women, right? This first one is going to be hormonal imbalances. I always say hormones are not a root cause, and it's 100% true. There's always something driving the hormones to be imbalanced, because hormones are just messengers. They're telling the body what to do, how to do it, but there's something telling the hormones to do their job, right? And so we have to actually understand, okay, well, what's driving these hormones to be imbalanced? And that's where we start digging deeper into the root causes. But let's talk about some of the hormonal shifts that can take place that can lead to weight loss resistance. So a big one is going to be estrogen dominance. So estrogen dominance is very common nowadays. I have been seeing this in almost all of my clients who have weight loss struggles or who are just on a journey of wanting to lose weight, right? They have this desire to lose weight and they're doing everything in their power to, take care of their bodies, take control over their bodies, and there's something blocking that from happening. And so what I see when I'm running labs, when I'm doing their assessments, is going to be estrogen dominance. So what is estrogen dominance? So estrogen and progesterone, they work hand in hand. So usually when estrogen is a lot higher compared to progesterone, that is what we call estrogen dominance. This can lead to so many different symptoms, including weight loss resistance, especially in your abdomen area, right? So you're just constantly either gaining weight and you're like, what the heck is going on here? Or you're having trouble losing weight. So that is number one. There's also other symptoms that come with that too, but we're just gonna really focus on weight loss resistance here. There's also something called estrogen dominance, right? But there's a different pattern here. So we are just having so many of these xenoestrogens, right? So we talked about this in other episodes where we're just exposed to a lot more in our society. The different chemicals, the different toxins, the endocrine disruptors, and these act as like fake estrogen. So then they start building up in the body. And again, we have that high estrogen compared to progesterone. And then this drives a lot of weight loss resistance, water retention. And we also want to understand, okay, well, what's actually driving this to be imbalanced, right? So number one is going to be those toxins, those environmental toxins. Number two is we have to look downstream. What actually helps your hormones to be in balance? What organ systems? The liver. Okay. The liver is where we are metabolizing our hormones. We also see even deeper issues. Okay, well, what's causing the liver to be stressed out? Well, we have methylation problems, right? So we can keep going deeper and deeper. So this is why I love the root cause approach and just our root cause approach specifically, because there's so many different layers to this, right? So this is why I always say testing is really the first step. So we really understand what your body specifically requires to start dropping weight, because there can be numerous root causes, but what is your true root cause that's driving this hormonal imbalance? Another common thing I see too is cortisol dysregulation. This has been super popular, where we are experiencing chronic stress, right? And when we are experiencing chronic stress, gets released stress hormones, cortisol. So what happens here is cortisol gets released, and cortisol loves to really cause so many different issues, but chronic stress will equal to just more fat storage. So we're just storing more fat, again, because we're protecting ourselves. Our body's so smart, so knowledgeable that it's doing all of this by itself, right? But sometimes we're just like, okay, like we get it. You're protecting me, but I really want you to stop for the most part, just so I can start seeing these results. So how do we get out of this cortisol dysregulation? How do we rebalance our cortisol? While addressing the root causes. I've already talked about this, right? We have to address the root cause, because if we're just slapping a supplement on to lower our cortisol or increase our cortisol levels, we're not actually driving the real reason, or we're not actually addressing the real reason behind the cortisol dysregulation that's leading to the excess fat storage. We have to understand, okay, well, is it due to my diet? How's my diet? Because chronic stress can come from the diet. Okay, how is my day-to-day lifestyle? Am I just pushing the gas pedal 1,000 miles per hour and I'm not taking time to push the brakes, to take a pause, to rest, to restore our body? We also want to look at these different toxins. I'm telling you, these toxins are a huge component to chronic stress on the body. Chronic stress can be from emotional and also physical triggers. So physical triggers are going to be the environmental toxins. It can be your diet. It can be trauma, can be more the emotional side, right? We really want to understand and dig deeper. Okay, like what can we shift in our life, in our diet, in our day-to-day in order to help with cortisol regulation. Again, this is where the nervous system comes in. I always say the best place to start is really just taking 5 to 10 minutes a day and doing something that brings you joy, like genuine joy. If that's reading a book, that's great. Spend 5 minutes doing that. If that's journaling, amazing. Do that. If it's walking outside, hey, I'm not going to judge you, right? So you guys do something that actually brings you joy. That is going to help your nervous system so much. We are overcomplicating it. We really are. You don't need more wellness advice. What you're looking for are answers. If you're tired of wondering why you feel off, my one-time functional lab testing packages are your fast track to clarity. This is root cause insight without the long-term commitment. You'll get functional labs, a detailed breakdown of what's really going on, and a short-term protocol designed to bring immediate relief. It's not a transformation, it's a turning point. A way to stop guessing, start strategizing, and take grounded action right now. If you are craving clarity without the overwhelm, head to organicallyglow.com and book your testing package today. Because your symptoms aren't random, they are readable, and I'll help you decode them. Next, we see the thyroid. Ooh, this is a big one. This is a really, really big one. So hypothyroidism is, I swear, I want to say about 90% of my clients have a thyroid problem. Again, there's definitely an emotional component to this. There's also going to be physical components. Like I said, those toxins, those hidden infections. If you have ever had a history of like Epstein-Barr virus, mono, COVID, any of these viruses, they love the thyroid. It really just dysregulates the immune system, and the immune system's like, okay, let's get after that thyroid, right? So then we see hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism specifically is going to be connected back to the inability to lose weight, or you're just gaining weight rapidly. This is something that's super important to understand, because if the thyroid is not functioning properly, every single organ in the body, every single process in the body actually decreases in function. So guess what gets hit usually first? Your metabolism. So your body is trying to help you survive. So it's going to turn off all the things that are like, hey, like we don't need this right now to survive. So that is your metabolism. So your metabolism slows down and we start rapidly gaining weight, and we're like, what in the heck is going on here? I haven't changed much. Like what is happening? So this is where testing comes into, right? So I do like to run a full thyroid panel. Even if you don't have a history of thyroid issues, like I'm still running thyroid panels just because it's a great baseline. Like we really want to understand, okay, let's see everything that's going on in the body. Let's see where the gaps are and let's optimize. Let's definitely optimize as much as we can so we can prevent thyroid issues down the line. I also do ask, like, okay, do you have a family history of thyroid issues? Because this, again, it's the emotional side, which I can touch on in another episode when we talk more about the thyroid. But the thyroid does play such a big role in weight loss resistance. Next is going to be the insulin resistance component. So this is something that is popping up over and over again. Again, our metabolic health. So our metabolic health is so trash in the United States. I have said this before, but it really is a problem. We are just fed ultra processed foods all the time. We are running on stress hormones all the time, which is dysregulating our blood sugar. We add on these environmental toxins, these infections, and then we have more stress popping up. So insulin resistance is something I see in most of my clients, I have to say, especially if they do have a history of hypothyroidism. I'm like, okay, let's check the blood sugar, let's check the insulin, let's see how that's going. Even if you have high inflammation levels in the body, that can also drive your insulin levels to be very high. When we're dealing with insulin resistance, we actually have excess belly fat. So in your lower belly, if you are just gaining weight in that area, we really should be checking your blood sugar and your insulin, your fasting insulin levels, because that's going to give us insight on insulin resistance. There's also other markers that I like to look at too when it comes to early signs of insulin resistance. So if you do triglycerides over HDL, so your lipid panel, look at your lipid panel. If your lipid panel's all over the place and you're just like, okay, this just doesn't make sense. Look at your blood sugar. There is a connection there between blood sugar dysregulation and your lipid panel just being all over the place. Let's jump into gut health and inflammation. So we already touched on basically all the hormonal imbalances that can be going on, right? So this is why I always say testing, don't guess, because there can be numerous things going on, right? There can be that insulin resistant component, there can be that estrogen dominance component, there can be that low thyroid component, or there can even be cortisol dysregulation. These all kind of go hand in hand, right? The body doesn't work in silos, it works together. So when one thing is decreasing in function, guess what? Everything else is decreasing in function, or there's just communication errors in the body. So let's jump into the gut health, right? So gut health, again, plays such a big role in a lot of these hormonal imbalances. If we have, bloating, constipation, food sensitivities, we want to look at leaky gut. Because leaky gut can definitely drive not only gut inflammation, but systemic inflammation, which can lead to the hormonal imbalances, right? The estrogen dominance, the cortisol dysregulation, the low thyroid function, because our gut does play a role in how our thyroid hormones are converted into active thyroid hormones. Insulin resistance too, right? We have to have certain bacteria in our gut to regulate our blood sugar. So the gut is definitely a huge piece in healing overall. This is something that I honestly give gut health support to every single client, because everyone that has come to me, I'm like, oh yeah, we definitely need to support the gut no matter what. Especially just nowadays, because again, we're exposed to so much more. It's our diet, it's the alcohol, it's just chronic stress, right? This can change our gut microbiome. So I always like to bring in support just to reduce the inflammation there. Again, we also look at your detox pathways. So these are your drainage pathways. So again, how are you about your bowel movements? Are you using the restroom 1 to 2 times a day? Are you dealing with liver stress? Are you experiencing kidney stress, right? We're dehydrated. So that's going to lead to how well our kidneys are filtering. So there's a lot that we look at when it comes to the gut, digestion, detoxification pathways, all the fun stuff that can lead to the weight loss resistance. Another thing is going to be nutrient deficiencies. So nutrient deficiencies are huge. Even if you're eating a clean, organic diet, you may still be nutrient deficient. Why? Maybe it's an absorption issue, okay? Maybe we have that gut inflammation that's driving you to either use your nutrients very, very quickly, or it's just not being absorbed because we have low stomach acid, right? So there's a lot going on here, but we do love testing. So we're actually understanding, okay, like this is exactly what your body specifically requires, so you can start dropping weight. Another thing is your diet, guys, okay? I'm going to constantly talk about this, because even if you think you're eating a healthy, organic, clean diet, you may be undernourished. You may not be eating enough protein, and then we're not getting key nutrients like magnesium, your B vitamins, your zinc. We also see overtraining without any type of recovery. You're using up your vitamins so much more quickly, and your nutrients overall, your electrolytes. So then we have all these nutrient deficiencies that are driving your immune system to go haywire. Your adrenals are like, I'm tapped out. I don't have the actual raw material to create a stress hormone so you can survive. So there are key pieces to this. And again, there's so many different little puzzle pieces. And this is why I love what I do, because I get to really put those puzzle pieces together and give you very clear answers on, like, this is what's going on, this is how we're going to support your body, and this is how you're going to heal. Again, we touched on the nervous system dysregulation, but this is definitely leading to that weight loss resistance in a lot of women. We are just, again, constantly exposed to stress. Throw in those toxins, throw in those infections, throw in emotional stress on a day-to-day, throw in that work stress, the family stress. Us women, we have to wear so many hats. We really do. And the best thing I can say with just the nervous system regulation is surround yourself with a community. Surround yourself with people who actually support you. Support yourself. I think that's a big one. We constantly put ourselves to the side because we're like, we have to take care of everyone else. We have to take care of everyone. But who's going to take care of you? Okay, you have to put some boundaries in place where you're like, hey, you need to take care of the kids for 5 minutes so I can go chill. So I can restore myself, right? You can make the time. I know so many women who are business owners, who are running the household, who have a second job, who are still taking care of the kids, and they still make time for themselves. So there is enough time, I promise you. So let's jump into some real results without any restriction. So we're going to talk about a client case study. I have so many that come to mind. Maybe I'll just do like a generalized one where it kind of, because I feel like with the clients that have lost the most weight, they had the same thing going on internally. So yeah, let's just talk about that. Okay, so I had a 31-year-old and also a 31 and 42-year-old. Yes, I believe so. 42. I want to say 42. So these women, powerful women, okay, they have very high stress jobs. They're constantly on the go, go, go. My 30-year-old, she just bought a house. She is getting married. She has a lot on her plate, right? My 42-year-old, she is also a very high, powerful woman, very successful. They both came to me and they're like, hey, I am doing everything, okay? I have tried everything. I have worked with other practitioners. I have worked with naturopathic doctors, holistic doctors, and for some reason, I just cannot lose this 10 pounds. For some reason, there is something going on deeper. Like they already knew. They're like, there's something going on deeper. I just don't know what it is. I need help. And I'm like, I got you. Don't worry. So basically what we did is we started with our complete root cause panel. One of them also did a Dutch test so we can really understand the hormones because she was more related back to hormonal imbalances. Both of the complete root cause panels that they did showed signs of hypothyroidism. They both had a history of hypothyroidism. One of them was autoimmune thyroid. The other one was just hypothyroidism, right? So there is a slight difference. One is more immune driven. One is more chronic stress driven, virus driven, all these different toxins that can impact the thyroid, right? So they are both had a history of hypothyroidism and they were on medications, still on medications because sometimes medications are needed to regulate the body. But we brought in very specific targeted supports to actually address their root causes. What were their root causes? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. So basically their root causes were, number one, they had insulin resistance, early signs of insulin resistance. They were chronically stressed. So there was lots of nutrient deficiencies going on across the board, like vitamin D, magnesium, zinc. All their key vitamins were very low. They also had some electrolyte imbalances. So that was really driving a lot of the chronic stress. They weren't able to restore themselves. We also seen gut imbalances in both. So this is actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, like they had lots of common patterns pop up. So they both had gut health issues, most likely due to fungal overgrowths because they did score very high in one of their assessments where it was pointing back to a fungal overgrowth. So fungal overgrowths are not fun at all. They love to increase water retention. So you're holding on to more weight, more water weight. You're also just highly inflamed. You have food sensitivities across the board. You are fatigued, you're exhausted, you're depleted, and you're just not feeling good. You're super bloated. And so that's what we did, right? So we started there. We're like, okay, fungal overgrowths are very high on their top symptoms. So we want to address that. So that's exactly what we did. We use very specific herbs. We also use very specific nutrition recommendations. So of course, when it comes to any type of thyroid issue, what we want to do is automatically, I'm like, we need to do a elimination diet. Specifically, we need to remove gluten and dairy for at least 30 days. Gluten is definitely a huge trigger for a lot of women who have any type of thyroid issue. I'm not going to go into the science around it, but basically you want to get off gluten if you have a history of thyroid issues. That is going to be a huge component, especially when it comes to Hashimoto's. So we want to reduce any type of immune overreaction to the thyroid. And so removing gluten does that. So that's what we did. Remove gluten. We focus on high protein, more of like a low carb, but I didn't say that. I just said focus on high protein. Let's remove gluten. Keep it simple with the diet. Again, bringing in some lifestyle-based strategies. So they were already doing everything. They were exercising, they were getting outside, they were doing cold plunges, saunas, they were doing it all. So I was like, okay, pick one thing you really want to focus on and do that. I did recommend doing saunas because saunas, again, it's helping with detoxification. I do see it more helpful for women specifically over a cold plunge. But again, it's their preference. I really leave it up to them. What actually makes you feel good in your body? You know your body best. So I always want you to have that power, right? So if you're like, hey, I like cold plunges, do cold plunges, right? I'm not going to be like, no, don't do them, right? Unless we see some very heavy signs pointing to cold plunges are not best for you. But most often I kind of leave it up to them. I also, again, brought in those targeted supplementations. I'm not kidding. After 2 protocols, this is about, each protocol lasts about 30 to 45 days. So I would say about 2 to 3 months, they both dropped 10 plus pounds. Okay, incredible, because they were doing everything in their power to drop weight, and they were like shocked. They're like, I can't believe just small shifts, targeted supplements actually helped me drop this much weight. Like, they were shocked, and they felt really, really good in their body, right? Weight loss is a byproduct of a healthy body. When you have a healthy body, you not only start dropping weight, but you feel really good in your body. You have high energy levels. The mental clarity is insane. You're able to make decisions quickly. You just feel really at home in your body. You do. So overall, when it comes to weight loss resistance, we want to take a root cause and holistic approach. So really focusing on eating enough protein is going to be your best friend. Focus on eating protein. Again, if you want to experiment and do a low carb diet, you can do that. I don't recommend it. I always say just focus on high protein. About 30 grams per meal is super helpful, especially if we're dealing with blood sugar issues, which most likely if you have weight loss resistance. You can also stop skipping meals, please. Have snacks in your purse. A beef stick, I always keep in my purse. A protein bar, keep it in your purse, especially if you start to get hangry. That's going to really stabilize blood sugar. Walking after meals is going to be huge. Weight training, lifting weights is going to be your best friend. Again, we want to really support the blood sugar regulation when we're dealing with weight loss resistance. Lastly, we want to test, okay? We are so done with guessing, and it's going to save you so much time. It's going to save you a headache. It's going to save you so much money if you just invest in testing so you actually understand what your body specifically requires to heal. Lastly, what I'm going to leave you with is the nervous system. I want you to really take some time to pause, to reflect and understand the reason behind your goal of losing weight. What is really going on? Like, what's really driving that? So just sit with yourself for 5-10 minutes in the morning, journal, and really understand, like, okay, why do I want to lose weight? How do I think this is going to make me feel? Like, what's the real reason behind losing weight? And really get clear on that before stepping into this journey. I think that's going to really, really help you get clear on, okay, this is my next step. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And it's going to make me feel really, really good, right? So thank you so much for listening to this. If you guys have any questions at all, if you want me to dive deeper into a specific topic that you're like, wait, you need to touch more on that because what? Make sure you send me a DM on Instagram at organicallyglow. And then if you guys are interested in getting testing done, or if you guys are interested in working one-on-one with me, you guys can always book a free call. We can chat and really set you up with a root cause roadmap so you know exactly what the steps are, what the process is, and how to get started on your weight loss journey and really feeling really good in your body. So thank you again for listening. If you guys do have questions, always reach out to me and I would love to hear from you guys. All right, see you guys next time. Bye. You lead teams, households, businesses, but no one taught you how to lead your health. Most wellness advice wasn't built for women like you, high functioning, chronically fatigued, done with surface level fixes that don't actually work. That's why I created my one-on-one personalized wellness plans. We start with functional labs, we decode your symptoms, and we build a protocol that's rooted in data and designed for your reality. This isn't trendy wellness, this is root cause medicine that leads to restorative care. is clarity, structure, and sustainable results for women who carry a lot and deserve to feel like themselves again. If you are ready for precision support and a practitioner who sees the full picture, head to organicallyglow.com, book a call, and let's rebuild your energy at the root so you can lead everything else from a place of clarity. If today's conversation shifted something inside of you, if it brought you clarity, relief, or a new way to see your health as a leadership tool, I'd love for you to share this with another powerhouse woman in your world. And remember, symptoms aren't the problem, they are the signal. When you start translating them, you stop surviving and you start leading with clarity. I'll see you next time inside Glow Social Hour.